Good evening. This is the Urban Debate. I am Kavita Krishnan. The next 1 hour may put you off dinner, and we apologize for that. But this is a conversation that we must have. Did you know that in our biggest cities, Mumbai, Delhi, Bengaluru, Chennai, septic tanks and sewers are still cleaned manually? Did you know that the men and boys who clean them do so without any safety equipment? That in 2017 alone, 300 of these men or boys died after inhaling the toxic sewer gases, after drowning in that filth. And did you know that now this practice was outlawed? It was made illegal in 1993 and again in 2013. Yet, our local bodies, through contractors, still employ manual scavengers. Today we ask, why do we have to pay someone to go down a sewer and clean it? Aren't we a country that can invest in a machine which can do that? How much longer will our civic bodies break the law with impunity and get away with it? When will we implement the ban on manual scavenging? When will we rehabilitate these people and give them lives worthy of living? Those are the questions that we will be posing to our panel. But first, take a quick look at this report.
भाइयों ने 2 सीवर खोले दोनों ने और वो दोनों मेरे भाइयों की डेथ हो गई। सोसाइटी वालों ने जबरदस्ती खुलवाए सीवर। पति का नाले में पड़ कर सांस की बीमारी लग गई। 15 साल तक रही यही बीमारी रही।
Jagdish, Rajesh and Gyanchand, 3 names in the long list of casualties to the inhuman practice of manual scavenging. The government's own data of 1 death every 5 days is proof of the grisly toll. Despite this, and despite being outlawed twice, our local bodies continue employing manual scavengers.
The problem is lack of political will to implement. Problem is that this is not the top priority.
Safai karmacharis or sanitation workers continue to wade into our filth without any protective gear.
6 बजे बुलाते हैं और 11 बजे छोड़ते हैं, फिर कहते हैं आप 2-1:30 बजे आइए और 5 बजे जाइए काम छोड़ के। 2 बार आदमी पूरा दिन उसी में उसका चला जाता है काम में ही। बहुत ज़्यादा हम लोग चीखते चिल्लाते हैं, यूनियन कोई चीखती चिल्लाती है तब उसके लिए वो हल्के वाले ग्लिप्स आते हैं जो अस्पतालों में मिलते हैं, वो पैकेट उन्होंने तुरंत खरीदे और दे दिए।
Outraged at governments that take little notice of their demands, the people who clean our filth took to the streets of the national capital today.
Behind me are the sanitation workers, the sewage workers, the manual scavengers are here at the Jantar Mantar spot for their dharna protest demanding their rights.
Mirror now asks, why are Safai Karmacharis forced to work under inhuman conditions in New India? When will India implement the manual scavenging ban? Let's debate.
That's the question we are posing to our panelists. Bhaskar Ghosh, spokesperson of the BJP, Yogendra Yadav, president of Swaraj India, Colin Gonzalez, founder of the Human Rights Law Network, Ashif Sheikh, who is the founder of Jan Sahas, which is a Madhya Pradesh-based NGO that works with manual scavengers, Joginder Bose, who's a Safai Karmachari himself, and Pramod, who is a manual scavenger. I will begin with the most important people on my panel tonight. Pramod, सबसे पहला सवाल आपसे, हमें बताएं वो गटर और वो जो सुअर है उसके अंदर की जिंदगी कैसी होती है, कैसे आप रोज उसके अंदर उतर के किस तरह साफ करते हैं, किस तरह सफाई करते हैं उसकी, क्या उसके लिए आपको किसी तरह का इक्विपमेंट दिया जाता है, ग्लव्स या किसी तरह का कोट या कुछ दिया जाता है आपको?
ये विषय में मैं आपसे बोलना चाहूँगा, हमें कोई भी कोट नहीं दिया जाता है, ना सेप्टिक बेल्ट दी जाती है और हमें नाले में उतरना पड़ता है। और आज भी हम उतरे थे और आज भी हमने काम किया वहाँ पे उतर के, और वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा गंदगी होती है जिसकी कि वहाँ गंद इतना होता है कि वहाँ थोड़ी देर भी खड़ा होना मुश्किल होता है। तो इस वजह से हमें बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है वहाँ नाले में घुस के काम करने से, और हमारे बीमारी लग जाती है और उसकी वजह से हमारे बहुत से भाई बहन मर भी जाते हैं और जिनको नौकरी भी नहीं देते हैं और कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेस पे लगा रहे हैं ये लोग। और हमें बहुत ही हमारा जीवन बहुत ही गरीबी में गुजर रहा है और हमें कुल ही 12,000 रुपये सैलरी दी जाती है मैडम जी।
12,000 कुल सैलरी आपको दिया जाता है। ये बताइए, क्या आपको यहाँ पर मतलब यहाँ पर आपको नौकरी पर रखा गया है म्युनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन में? कैसे आपको ये सैलरी दिया जाता है? कौन देता है आपको ये सैलरी?
मैडम जी हमें क्या कहते हैं 89 डेज जिनकी फाइल होती है उस पर लगाया गया था मैडम जी, और 240 हाजिरी के बाद कह रहे थे कि 320 हाजिरी के बाद हमें पक्का कर दिया जाएगा। और इसमें हमें सुनकर हम लगे थे जब, और हमें पता था कि इसमें लग के हम पक्के हो जाएंगे, तो हम जब से लगे आ रहे हैं। आज हमें 15 साल हो गए काम करते हुए, और मैडम 15 साल में भी हमारी कोई सुनवाई नहीं है। और हम ऐसे ही, हम सरकार जो है हमारी दोनों सरकारें नहीं सुन रही है। दिल्ली सरकार पैसा भेज देती है, वो कहते हैं हमने उनके लिए पैसा भेज दिया है, और केंद्र सरकार कहती है हमने इनको पैसा दे दिया है, और हम बीच बीच में ही एक दूसरे को देखते रहते हैं और बहुत ही निराश है दोनों सरकारों से कि हमारे बीच में हो क्या रहा है।
जी, और प्रमोद ये बताइए, 15 साल से आप ये काम कर रहे हैं, दिन में कितने घंटे आपको ये काम करना पड़ता है? क्या आपको छुट्टी मिलती है?
मैडम बस संडे की छुट्टी होती है हमारी, और उसके भी पैसे काट लिए जाते हैं, और 26 दिन का हमारा मिसटोल होता, 26 दिन के पैसे हमें पे करते हैं ये।
एक दिन की छुट्टी मिलती है, इनको रोज काम करना पड़ता है, एंड ही इज नॉट इवन पेड फॉर दैट वन डे ऑफ हॉलीडे. In fact, his salary gets cut. All that Pramod makes is 12,000 rupees. 12,000 rupees in a month to go down a sewer and to clean the filth that we make. Let me now go to Joginder Bose, our other very important guest today. Joginder Bose, ये बताए कि लोग सफाई कर्मचारी बनना क्यों चाहते हैं, इस तरह के काम क्यों करते हैं, जबकि कानून के मुताबिक ये गैर कानूनी है।
देखिए, मैं तो एक बात बताना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि हम जब लगे थे एमसीडी के अंदर तो 26/6/96 हम लगे थे, और सफाई कर्मचारी का जो हमें काम मिला था, उस काम के चलते चलते हमने जो गंदगी उठाई है और जिस तरीके से हमने काम करा है, अगर किसी को 50,000 रुपये भी सैलरी मिलेगी तो भी वो गंदगी नहीं उठा सकता। हम सुबह 7 बजे अपने घर से निकलते हैं, और 7 बजे निकलने के बाद में अपने बच्चों को सोता हुआ छोड़ कर आते हैं, और जिस गली में हम काम करते हैं उस गली के अंदर इतना कूड़ा होता है, इतनी गंदगी होती है, उस मोहल्ले को, उस कॉलोनी को हम सुबह साफ करते हैं, और सारी धूल मिट्टी जो डस्ट है, जो बदबूदार कूड़ा है, वो सब अपना आप सूंघते हैं, खाते हैं। उसके बावजूद भी नहीं तो दिल्ली सरकार, नहीं तो केंद्र सरकार, और ना ही नगर निगम सरकार ना तो हमारे बच्चों के बारे में कुछ सोचती है। क्योंकि आज मैं आपको बता दूं, मेरी बेटी 3 साल से परेशान है खुद, और 3 साल से वो 8 महीने जीटीवी हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट रह गई। उसका इलाज ही मैं आज तक नहीं करवा पाया, क्योंकि यहाँ पर ना तो कोई मेडिकल फैसिलिटी है, ना ही बच्चों को पढ़ाने की फैसिलिटी है तो सब, मगर नहीं तो हमारे एमसीडी डिपार्टमेंट दे पाता है। अगर मैं खुद एडमिट होगा हॉस्पिटल में, या मेरी बेटी एडमिट होगी हॉस्पिटल में, तो कम से कम 2-3 साल के बाद मुझे पैसा मिलेगा। जबकि दिल्ली सरकार का यह कहना है कि हम एमसीडी को देते हैं पैसा। हमारे जो कमिश्नर साहब हैं उनका यह कहना है कि हमारे पास पैसा नहीं आया हमें, जबकि ये राजनीति मुद्दा इन्होंने बना रखा है, और हमारे जैसे सफाई कर्मचारियों के लिए ये कुछ भी नहीं सोच रहे। और ठेकेदार जो वहाँ पर लगे हुए हैं, जो ठेकेदार काम करवा रहे हैं, जो ऑटो टिप्पर चल रहे हैं, सबसे पहले उनकी पेमेंट हो जाती है। हमारे जैसे सफाई कर्मचारियों को कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं मिल पा रही, और न ही कोई उनके लिए मास्क है, न ही कोई गमबूट है, न ही उनके लिए कोई झाड़ू है, न ही कोई बेलचा है। मैं सच्चा बता रहा हूँ, मैं खुद जाकर जब मैं अपनी ड्यूटी पर जाता हूँ तो मैं खुद जो है ना, अगर मेरे पास बेलचा नहीं है या पचांगला नहीं है तो मुझे हाथ भी लगाना पड़ता है और हाथ से उठाना पड़ता है सारा कुछ। तो ये हमारे साथ सबसे बड़ी विडम्बना है। और मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि सफाई का जो महकमा है वो सबसे ज़्यादा गंदा है, और हम लोग कर रहे हैं उस काम को। मगर मैं दिल्ली की जनता से और साथ साथ अपनी सरकारों से ये कहना चाहूँगा कि हमारे बच्चों के भविष्य में सोचे और हमारे भविष्य के बारे में सोचे।
जोगिंदर जी, पहली बार कोई सरकार यहाँ पर स्वच्छता के बारे में बात करने लगी है। स्वच्छ भारत नाम का अभियान चला हुआ है, उसके बावजूद क्या आपको किसी तरह की सहूलियतें मुहैया नहीं हो रही है?
देखिए मैं बताना चाहूँगा, जब से ये स्वस्थ भारत अभियान चला है, मैं खुद देखता रहा हूँ इस बात को, क्योंकि हम खुद सफाई कर रहे हैं। हमारी ड्यूटी जो है 3 शिफ्ट कर दी गई हमारे सफाई कर्मचारियों में। मैं उसमें शिफ्ट में शामिल हूँ। उस शिफ्ट में एक नाइट में है, एक मॉर्निंग में है, एक इवनिंग में है। हम सारी दिल्ली को स्वस्थ बना रहे हैं, अच्छे तरीके से सफाई कर रहे हैं। मगर जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी है, मोदी जी, या जो हमारे MP है, महेश गिरी जी वगैरह जितनी भी है, हमारी दिल्ली सरकार है, हम तो सफाई अपनी जो हमें करना, हम अपना कार्य करना, वो हम बिल्कुल ठीक कर रहे हैं। मगर आज तक भी सफाई कर्मचारियों पे, ये जो सफाई कर्मचारियों पे जो स्वच्छता का जो जिनके ऊपर जिम्मेदार है, सारे जो सफाई हम कर रहे हैं सारी, हमारे बारे में कभी नहीं सोच रही है लोग। आज तक भी हमारे
जोगिंदर जी,
DA है, 12-12 DA हो चुके हैं।
एक बात बताइए जी जोगिंदर जी, आपने कहा कि अब 3 शिफ्ट लगाई गई है, पहले कितने शिफ्ट आप काम करते थे और सैलरी क्या बढ़ी है आपकी काम बढ़ गई, आपका काम बढ़ गया क्या, सैलरी भी बढ़ी है?
नहीं मैम, सैलरी हमारी नहीं बढ़ी, हमारा काम बढ़ा दिया गया बस।
कितना मिलता है
काम
आपको?
इसलिए बढ़ा दिया गया कि हमारे जो अब 12,000 कुछ रुपए, और 12,000 में मेरी खुद की फैमिली है, 7 मेंबर है। हमारी खुद की फैमिली है, 7 मेंबर है। 12,000 में मैं खुद किराए पे रहता हूँ, और मेरे घर में लाइट भी नहीं है 4 साल से, क्योंकि मैं लाइट का मेरा बिल हो चुका कुछ 40,000 के करीब। मैं अपनी लाइट का बिल भी नहीं दे पा रहा, और नहीं MCD डिपार्टमेंट परमानेंट कार्य 26/6/96 का मैं परमानेंट, मतलब 26/6/96 का लगाऊं मैं, आज तक मुझे परमानेंट बिलिंग कराया इन लोगों ने। मैं इतनी परेशानी से जूझ रहा हूं, और मेरे जैसे सफाई कर्मचारी बहुत ज्यादा जूझ रहे हैं, क्योंकि जिनकी 8-8 महीने की सैलरी हो चुकी।
जी जी जोगिंदर जी,
तो मैं तो यही कहना चाहूंगा, बहुत ज्यादा परेशान हम लोग।
जी जोगिंदर जी, प्रमोद जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने
बहुत ज्यादा परेशान
जी जी योगेंद्र यादव, we've just heard from both Joginder and from Pramod, and they've told us how difficult, how utterly inhuman their job is, and the pittance that they're actually paid for it. But we should also not forget that there are a lot of people who pay with their lives for the kind of work that they're doing. We're talking of at least one manual scavenger being killed every 5 days.
I should begin by thanking you, first of all, for bringing the real voices. And today, now that there is some bit of national spotlight on this issue, and that's probably the only reason why I should probably thank the Prime Minister by doing what he did, maybe for a photo op, for whatever, at least it's brought some national attention on the real issue. And now that we are focusing on the question of scavengers, of the Safai Karamchari communities, I think we should not focus, we should clearly understand that there are 2 different kinds of issues. On the one hand, we are looking at 2 practices which are extreme, unacceptable, vulgar, which is kind of 19th century practices. One, that of human beings going down the sewer to clean it. Doesn't happen in most places of the world, should not happen in India. The second is manual scavenging, which is actually the dry latrine system where someone carries our shit on their head. Both these have to go, but let's remember, and there are laws for that, there are Supreme Court judgments. However, these are not being implemented at all, which basically shows that there is no political will. There is no societal will on these questions. For everything else, we are outraged, but when it comes to issues of this sort, we're not that outraged. And that only shows that somehow caste prejudices are lodged inside the heart of metropolitan India. Having focused on these 2, we should not forget the other 2 larger issues that this community has. The normal working condition of Safai Karamcharis who are not into manual scavenging, who are not into going down the sewer, their conditions are terrible. You know, the point that our other colleague made, you know, they're infinitely temporary. 15 years of temporary work. I mean, what Supreme Court verdict allows you to do something of this kind? Or the other thing which did not come up in these 2 testimonies, but you would find regularly. I've been in association with these organizations for the last 12 years now, so I sort of know all these details. The system of contractual employment is endemic. Most municipalities have stopped employing Safai Karamcharis on a regular basis. They hand it over to a contractor who then does whatever they do, and then municipalities just wash off their hands. You know, what can we do? So offering a regular, dignified employment is a must. And the 4th issue is the issue of this community is beyond being Safai Karamchari. I mean, they are not condemned to be Safai Karamchari for the rest of history. They have to do other things. They have to do medicine, they should do law, they should do engineering, they should do software. Where are the avenues? And that relates to the issue of reservations. We have reservations for scheduled caste. Yes, they are entitled to it. But in the last 70 years, our experience shows that these communities, particularly the communities engaged in cleaning occupations, they simply are in no position to benefit from reservations. So one of the issues that came up today was demand for a sub-quota within the reservation for SC. Go by sub-quota, go by anything else, but some special dispensation is required. These are 4 set of issues that we need to think about, not merely limit our outrage to one of those issues and not merely debate the photo op that the Prime Minister had yesterday.
Right. Yogendra Yadav, we pride ourselves on a country that is young. We pride ourselves on being an aspirational country. I'm sure that our Safai Karamcharis, our manual scavengers, all of them also have their own aspirations. What is holding this community back? Is it social stigma, or is it the fact that they are not aware, there is not enough awareness of the fact that they could step out of the life that they are living right now?
As I said, I've been associated with this for the last 12 years or so. And what we witness is a spiral. You serve in an occupation which is considered unclean. Everyone treats you with a distance. However modern we might be. But when it comes to dealing with people with such occupations, our worst caste prejudices come out. So the community is kept out. They have very low education, and therefore they fall into alcoholism, very rampant alcoholism in this community, very few educational opportunities, and in fact the lure of the possibility of a municipal job is actually a curse, because boys stop studying after class 6 or 7 or 8, they think they would get a municipality job. So this becomes a negative spiral for this community. This has to be broken, and the reason why I have some hope is that girls in this community have started taking to education. Strangely, girls in this community are taking more to education than boys in this community. That's where I see seeds of hope. That's where I see seeds of future transformation.
Right. Let me bring in Colin Gonsalves here. Colin Gonsalves, one of the things that Yogendra Yadav just mentioned is that there's probably very little political will over here. Though we have a law that has made manual scavenging illegal, it continues blatantly. Now, is it just the lack of political will, or is it the fact that also A, the law is not being implemented, and B, there's probably not enough punitive measures in place which does not deter the local bodies?
Well, I don't know about political will, but I would say that we have become an immoral nation. We have become an uncouth nation. And we have become a very backward and regressive nation because the people of India really don't care. Middle class don't care, the government doesn't care, the central government, state government doesn't care. And it is untouchability, Article 17 of the Constitution, which is banned. It is untouchability in its most despicable form. If anybody in the world would see what is happening in India, I tell you, their understanding and notions of India would completely change. I have been to the colonies here in Delhi where they live. They are the living dead. By the time they are 40, they are ready to die. They turn blind because the acid fumes from the sewer eat the membranes of their eyes. Their lungs are gone by the time they are 40, 45. They can only work if they drink booze. And they drink booze not because they like booze, they drink booze to dull the pain. I've seen these people in Delhi. We did a case in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court get a fantastic order. Justice Singhvi's fantastic order. Full body protection, proper wages, soap to wash, proper areas to sit and have food, and so on and so forth. Did the government implement? Did the state government implement? Did the central government implement? These persons who will now go to the bastis, the very same bastis, and ask for vote, did they implement? Frankly, our country has become an immoral country. Nobody cares. We lawyers don't care, public doesn't care, middle class doesn't care, nobody cares. And that is the reason why these people are the living dead, the untouchables of India. In Bombay, I saw the workers. When they go to the canteen, they're not allowed to sit in the municipal canteen. They work for the municipality. They're not allowed to go to the municipal because their bodies smell. The municipality in Bombay runs big buses. It's called the electric supply and transport buses. They're not allowed to go into those buses because they say your bodies smell. So you have to sit on top of a garbage heap and open your little box and eat your food. This is the situation in India. And I want to say one more thing. It's not a question of replacing men with machines. It's not a question of putting protective clothing. You have to abolish this whole trade. You have to abolish this system. And you must get machines, I get that. But the most important thing, all the existing contract workers who are doing manhole scavenging, scavenger work, dry latrines, they should all be made permanent workers of the corporation. Let the society pay back for what they've done for 30, 40 years of slavery. Make them all permanent workers of the corporation. Give them a ready job. Give them a small municipal corporation place to stay. Give them dignity for their lives. It should be a special program of the central government and all state governments that the thousands of workers that now they'll be taken out of bondage, taken out of slavery and given a decent life.
Right.
And not jobs in the sewer, jobs in the municipality, some other kinds of jobs so that their children can live with dignity.
Sadly, there are rules in place. Now, when manual scavenging as such was outlawed, at the same time, there were also rules in place to rehabilitate all those people involved in manual scavenging. Asif Sheikh, have you seen or heard of any conservancy worker being rehabilitated?
So basically, I'm working on this issue since 2000. We have completed about 20 years. We have liberated through the Rashtriya Garima Abhiyan about 31,000 manual scavengers from this practice. And we believe that manual scavenging practice is not a livelihood or not an employment, is a clear-cut case of caste-based slavery in India. We believe 100% people who are engaged in a practice of manual scavenging, they comes from Dalit community or Hila or Halalkhor community like the Dalit Muslim community. They engage. They face lots of discrimination, atrocity and the violence based on their work. And basically, if you see in the 2013 law, because previously government passed the law in 1993 and that law was totally failed. And after 1993, government passed another law in 2013. And in that law, we try to add lots of the good component, particularly for the rehabilitation of manual scavengers and the prevention of the this practice. But still, it's a huge issue related to implementation of the law, because in India, we required lots of the financial resources to implement that law, but financial resources are not available at national level, at state level, at the municipal corporation or Gram Panchayat level. In India, thousands and thousands of people are die due to the cleaning of septic tank and the manholes, but reporting is very low because always state governments are in denial mode. They deny that people are dying in the manhole and the septic tanks. Last year, we conduct a survey where we identify about 150 cases where the manual scavengers are die due to the cleaning of
Asif Sheikh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you said that there is no money, there are no funds. Now, according to the research that we have done, and this is government data, 2014-15, 448 crore was the budget allocation. 2015-16, 470.19 crore rupees. 2016-17, that came down to 10 crore rupees. 2017-18, 5 crore rupees. This was the budget allocation for the self-employment scheme for rehabilitation of manual scavengers. Now, I give you that the money has been dwindling, but there is quite a sum of money that has been set aside. Are you telling us that none of this money actually made its way to the people who need it the most?
So basically, if you see the whole concept of SRMS, self-rehabilitation of manual scavengers, that scheme launched by the central government in 2007, and the huge corruption and the lots of loopholes are there in that scheme. But if you see the last 2-year budget, you mentioned 5 crore and 10 crore. In India, more than 1 million people are engaged in the different form of manual scavenging practice. And are you thinking through this 5 crore or 10 crore, are you rehabilitate 1 million people? In India, thousands of people are engaged in manual scavenging practice in Indian Railways. So Indian Railways is the biggest employer of manual scavengers in India, and Indian Railway is not able to do anything for the prevention of the practice and the rehabilitation of manual scavengers. I am member of the National Central Monitoring Committee formed by the central government to implement the law. We always raise this question about the Indian Railway, but Indian Railway is not taking any serious action for the rehabilitation of manual scavenger in particularly their department.
Right. Bhaskar Ghosh, what do you have to say to that? It is an inhuman practice. It flouts every law. It flouts the law of the land. It flouts covenants that India is party to. How is it still going on?
No, like my fellow panelist was giving some very, very pertinent data regarding this, and Mr. Asif Sheikh has talked about that Indian Railway is not. So I don't have right now any informations or any statistics to answer his question that Indian Railway is not doing enough to take care of those rehabilitations. But let me find the current today's, what is the incidents. And whatever is the present state government, which is the Jal Board and the PWD departments, I just want to remind you that on September 25, 2018, there was a state-level monitoring committee was formed. And that particular committee, after 9 months, they have their first meeting. And the same Minister Rajendra Pal Gautam has given so many instruction to Secretary SCST Department Rinku Duga. He has been asked to prepare a SOP. Then ADM has been asked to start the trial and prosecute those person who is held responsible. So, and after that, the Delhi Jal Board has prepared a SOP for cleaning the sewerage to regulate the private farms. So, a government which is now, the topic of this today's subject is the recent incidents of Delhi. Therefore, I have just been directly on the issue that present Delhi government is absolutely lackadaisical or absolutely careless of addressing the issues.
Let's not point fingers at the Delhi government. I'm sorry, I'll not allow you to derail the discussion this way. Let me tell you this. The Manual Scavenging Act, give me a minute. The Manual Scavenging Act.
I'm just going on topics.
One second. You brought in the Delhi government. I am not talking about the Delhi government. If you were listening to the discussion, we were talking of the situation across the country.
Example. I'm giving another statistics.
Go on.
No, I'm giving another statistics that there is an ACCC Socioeconomic Caste Census 2011 where the Maharashtra is almost the highest. They have 65,181 household where at least one person is scavenger, the highest in the country. And Madhya Pradesh is in a rural population, they have got the highest in the country, but there's no deaths. The question is wherever our government is there.
So does that excuse it? Does that excuse the fact that your corporations are blatantly flouting the law? How does it excuse that? The fact that you're letting a man go down a drain without protective gear.
This is the incident which has happened recently.
The fact that you're letting a man go down the drain in the first place.
It is not our corporation, it's Delhi Jal Board.
I will not let you derail this discussion. I'm sorry.
This is not the corporation.
Let me give you some information. Or let me bring in Yogendra Yadav. Yogendra Yadav, according to the Manual Scavenging Act, what are state governments supposed to do?
I just want to ask that why Delhi government
We are not talking about the Delhi government here. We are talking about the whole country. It is not a Delhi problem. It is a national problem. It's a national shame that every day you have people who go down the drain and they clean it for you with their bare hands.
I give another example.
I don't want any more examples, Bhaskar Ghosh. I'm looking to you for solutions. I'm not looking to you for examples.
9th of September 2018, there was similar incidents where the Delhi government has asked for a report. Only 3 districts out of 11 districts are submitted
I'm
the report.
hoping that the government of the day will have solutions. I'm not asking you for examples. I can give you examples of people dying over there. I'm sure Pramod can give you examples of many of his friends who went down that drain and paid with their life. That is not what we are asking you for. Yogendra Yadav, what does the Manual Scavenging Act mandate state governments and local bodies to do? If you could please explain it to Bhaskar Ghosh.
In fact, Faye, I would leave the legal aspects to Gonzalez, who has actually laid it out so well. The simple point that you are making, I would reiterate that this is a national shame, and for heaven's sake, let us not get into they did it, they did it. Who's in charge in Uttar Pradesh? Uttar Pradesh is one of the worst offenders. Was run by Samajwadi Party earlier, is being run by BJP. And to say that there were no deaths, so all is well, is that what you are saying? That manual scavenging, which is to say, dry latrine, that doesn't cause any death anywhere in the world, but it's one of the most inhuman practices. It's a national shame. I mean, why are we reducing it to this? And Faye, that's exactly what I meant when I say lack of political will. You play these games when you really don't want to do anything. You play these games. And the one point about the budget that we need to note is, why is it that it's down to 10 crores? The simple reason is that there is excess money lying there, that actually there is no utilization, that while about 60,000 persons have been identified that they need to be rehabilitated, to my mind, less than 15,000 have been done. So there is no progress happening. And that's what I mean. There is no political will. Nationally, let's not get into this party versus that party, this government versus that government. If anything, this government is more responsible, and I'm speaking of the central government, because it inherited an act. 2013 act was there by the time Modi government came to power. This is the one government that talked about Swachhata all over the country. So if anything, Modi government should have taken greater onus than any other government. Previous governments didn't do their job well. But Modi government could have done well, should have done well. They had the law, they had the Supreme Court orders, they had this greatest mission in the country. Why have we not seen any results? That's a question worth asking.
Bhaskar Ghosh, would you care to answer that and also tell us why is it that the Indian Railways employ so many? One second. Answer that and also tell us why does the Indian Railway employ so many manual scavengers?
No, but Indian Railway has a manual. I don't know. The Indian Railways manual scavengers do not need to go underground.
They have to clean the tracks.
And if they go, they are properly equipped.
They have to clean the tracks. Do you want to know what they do? One second. One second. You want to know what they do? Ashif Sheikh, would you care to elaborate? Would you care to elaborate what manual scavengers in the Indian Railway are forced to do a day in their life? Could you describe that?
So, sir, Bhaskar ji, if you travel in Indian Railway, you can see in Indian Railway only dry toilets are there, and the dry toilet means no septic tank. So the people are using the toilet, and the shit is going to the platform. And in every platform, if you go tomorrow morning in the the Delhi railway station, you can see people are collecting the human excreta from the railway tracks. And many people are saying that we provide equipment. It's not an issue related to equipment. It's an issue related to human dignity. If the people will use the gumboot or the other equipment, but people is still collecting the human excreta country like in India. So it's again and again, it's an issue related to the denial. And another issue I also wanted to raise.
No, the question is whether this particular profession has given the enough equipment to deal with the. No, you have to make me understand one thing. These people who are doing the job is given the sufficient protection by Indian Railways or not?
One second. One second, Bhaskar Ghosh. Let us ask them. Pramod ji, Joginder ji, आप में से जो भी हमें ये बता सके, रेलवे में जो सफाई कर्मचारी है, जो ट्रैक की सफाई करते हैं, जो बाथरूम की सफाई, जो टॉयलेट्स की सफाई करते हैं, क्या उनको इक्विपमेंट या कोट या ग्लव्स वगैरह दिया जाता है?
ना, मैं आपके सवाल से सहमत नहीं हूँ, ये सवाल है ही नहीं ना
मैं
इक्विपमेंट
बताना
का।
चाहूंगा
जो चीज
ये जो हमारे रेलवे स्टेशन है जहाँ पे हमारे
इक्विपमेंट देखिए वो चीज
जो हमारे रेलवे लाइन पे जो हमारे रेलवे स्टेशन में जो सफाई कर्मचारी है उनके लिए कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं है, क्योंकि ना तो उनके पास गमबूट है ना उनके पास में बुरुश है। जो सफाई
ये आप गलत बोल रहे हैं, ये आप गलत बोल रहे हैं,
होते हैं
ये आप गलत बोल रहे हैं। हम भी रेलवे सफर करते हैं और मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा क्योंकि
सफाई कर्मचारी जो टॉयलेट में जा रहा है तेजाब लगा रहा है, जो हमारा सफाई कर्मचारी जो जाकर टॉयलेट के अंदर तेजाब लगा रहा है, उस तेजाब जो तेजाब लगा रहा है, ये आप ये देखिए उनके पास मास्क है नहीं है। मैं आपको यहाँ से लेके और सहारनपुर तक मैं स्टेशन पर दिखा दूंगा जो हमारा सफाई कर्मचारी हम जैसे, वो कोई भी उनके लिए तो न मास्क है न उनके लिए आंखों के लिए कोई फैसिलिटी है, क्योंकि जब तेजाब वो वहां पर लगा रहा है तो उनकी आंख पर भी नुकसान है, उनके सांस के थ्रू फेफड़े में भी जाता है, तेजाब है वो, ठीक है। उनके पास कोई फैसिलिटी ना तो उनके हाथ के लिए कोई फैसिलिटी है ना उनके आंखों के लिए ना उनके उसके चेहरे के लिए, उनके और तो और गमबूट भी नहीं है। क्योंकि मैं तो सबसे बड़ी बात ये कहना चाहूंगा कि जो हमारे सफाई कर्मचारी हम जैसे जो काम कर रहे हैं वो तो अपना पूरी मेहनत से करते हैं, मगर उनकी लिए कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं है।
और ये जो रेलवे में काम करते हैं क्या उनकी नौकरी परमानेंट है या वो भी टेम्पररी है?
देखिए मैं बताना चाहूंगा कुछ आदमी ऐसे हैं जो हमारे सफाई कर्मचारी है, कुछ ऐसे अब भी है जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेस पे है, जबकि रेलवे लाइन में जो रेलवे स्टेशन है या कहीं भी भर्ती आती है तो रेलवे के थ्रू आनी चाहिए, वहां कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेस नहीं चलना चाहिए। मैं तो ये कहना चाहूंगा वहां से अगर दिल्ली सरकार, केंद्र सरकार, बीजेपी सरकार और आम आदमी पार्टी, केजरीवाल जी ने कहा था दिल्ली में
जी आप ये बताइए रेलवे को
परमानेंट कर दूंगा, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेस खत्म कर दूंगा। सुनो, और
सफाई कर्मचारी
सरकार में उनके बारे में कहना चाहूंगा पूरे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर मुझे एक एरिया ऐसे बता दीजिए, एक स्टेट ऐसी बता दीजिए जहां पे हमारे कर्मचारियों का भला हुआ, जहां पे हम जैसे कर्मचारी आज भी गांव देहात के अंदर कूड़ा उठा रहे हैं और वे जो लगे थे मायावती की योजना में आज भी ऐसे कैसे है कर्मचारी वहां पे, आज भी वहीं पे उत्तर प्रदेश से लेकर हर जगह की बात आ रहा हूं मैं आपको।
भास्कर घोष
ऐसे कर्मचारी है क्योंकि हम
एक सेकंड
हमारे लिए कोई भी नहीं सोच पा रहा।
जोगिंदर जी एक सेकंड, you are saying Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Let me get very good.
Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra.
Right. Let me bring in Asif Sheikh, who works in Madhya Pradesh. Let me also bring in Colin Gonzalez, who is familiar with Maharashtra. Colin Gonzalez, would you say that the lives of the manual scavengers in Maharashtra is a little better than their counterparts in the rest of the country?
Not at all. Not at all. I've done a series of cases regarding manual scavengers in Maharashtra. I have been to the areas where they work. I have been to their colonies where they live. I have seen their families and children in the despicable conditions under which they work. And I want to say one or two things, please, if you don't mind. We'll start with the railway thing. How difficult is it for the railway to make those containers under the toilets, like they do in every country of the world, so that when the train comes to the main terminal, then that is cleaned. The excreta goes onto the platform and go to New Delhi railway station. I saw it just 3 days ago. People with chappals walking on the excreta and spraying water to push the excreta away from them. What is the protective equipment? You can send a man to the moon. That's what you're planning to do, isn't it? You're sending a man to the moon, but you can't make containers under trains to stop the excreta from hitting the thing. 2, where is the question of funds? India has a 7% growth in GDP. Ask Arun Jaitley. He'll boast about how we have 7% GDP. Which country in Europe? Does America have 7% GDP? Much less than India. So we are a rich country, very high GDP. And yet, you say for manual scavengers, for untouchability cases, you don't have money to give them protective equipment and do the work properly? Rehabilitation. It's a joke. I've seen slums in Delhi where the manual scavengers live in small little huts. Rehabilitate? Forget it. The bulldozers will come, the corporation will send bulldozers, the central government will send bulldozers and smash their homes. So whatever little they have, that again you will break. There's no rehabilitation, there's no justice. I tell you, only a revolution will work in this country, a revolution of Dalits. Only then will they overthrow this oppressive capitalist system.
Right. Asif Sheikh, would you care to tell us what is the condition in Madhya Pradesh?
So basically, I just wanted to correct Mr. Bose. We identify lots of cases And if you required, we have like the reports of the death of manual scavengers in Madhya Pradesh. So we will provide, we already provided to the central government about 3 months before. Just I wanted to give you one information. This problem is not exist on in like the Delhi or Mumbai or Madhya Pradesh. The manual scavenging issue is exists across India. This practice is exists from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. If you go to the Kerala, manual scavenging is exists. If you go to the Bihar or Jharkhand, this practices still exist in these kind of states. So basically, people are not like taking care, and the policymakers are also not taking this issue very seriously, because the like the population of manual scavenger is very less. So I think political will is required to address these kind of issues. This practice exists across India. And another important issue, if you see the rate of FIR, because the people are dying in the septic tank and the police and the local administration declare these dates as accidental death and FIR not filed. And in some cases, because we identify in last 2 years, only 30% in the 30% cases, administration filed the FIR, but they are not added the proper and accurate like the sections of Atrocity Act or the Manual Scavenging Act. So that's why like the people are saying ki manual scavenger are not dying, but it's a totally fake information, and it's a totally issue of related to the denial by the states of like the deaths.
Right. So essentially you're saying that the government is in denial. The other thing, Yogendra Yadav, that you pointed out earlier was that the money, the allocation to rehabilitate manual scavengers, it has been progressively coming down because the government is not spending the money. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Sorry, what was the question?
Mr. Yadav, you said that the allocation, the budgetary allocation for rehabilitation has not gone up. It's been reducing on an annual basis, and that is because the money that has already been allocated has not been spent. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, the data is already in the public domain. The simple fact is that the government, the last time any fresh money was allocated actually was in 2013-14. 13-14 is the last time when fresh money was actually released. Not only allocated in budget, but actually fresh money was released. Since then, the money available there has not been used, and the fact is, till 2017, which is what we had the last data for, not a single paisa fresh was released by this Modi government. These are simple facts. This came out from RTI. This is a report on the wire, publicly available. We have year by year data of how much money came, how much was spent. So the simple fact is that the legal requirement under the 2013 Act, the requirement that families be identified, and once they are identified, they should be given 40,000 rupees in one stroke. Then they should be given a training, and during training they should get 3,000 rupees a month. All this is not being at all complied with, because by a rough estimate, this country has anything between 5 to 7 lakh manual scavengers. As yet, 60,000 have been identified. In most places, the governments are not at all keen on identification. And even out of those 60,000, only about 10 to 15,000 have been identified, and rehabilitation has taken place in the last 3-4 years. Otherwise, nothing is happening. That's why we are in complete denial. We are in opposition to the legal requirement. Right. This is the sad reality, and that's why I continue to say this is a question of political will. For any other community, this would have happened overnight. But when it comes to Dalits, we don't.
Right. Bhaskar Ghosh.
No, I just want to answer.
One second. Let me just add to what. Let me just add to what Mr. Yadav said. Apart from the fact, one second. Bhaskar Ghosh, there's a little bit more information that I need to share with you. Now, according to the Act, state governments had to ensure mechanized cleaning in their states. They also had to set up a vigilance committee in every district to monitor the implementation of this Act. How much of this was done?
No, that's what I mean to say. That some of my friend activists, he was talking about in railways. First, start with that and then I will answer you. The railway has already installed the bio toilets of 85,000. 1,155 crore on record have been granted for installing of the bio toilets. And so we are, and all the panelists are talking about what central government has done it. I'm talking on railway has given more than 1,200 crore for the bio toilets. 85,000 quote unquote Suresh Prabhu, last railway minister, has mentioned that we have installed. The first time in this country under the Swachh Bharat Abhijan, we have spent huge amount of money to provide the toilets all over the country. Now we are talking about, now your question is that this committee, what you are mentioning, is a joint committee between the state and the center, right?
Sorry, Bhaskar Ghosh? I didn't get the last bit.
Yeah,
I just heard states and center.
I mean, please repeat your questions regarding. Yeah, this monitoring committee is to be constituted with the state and the center of the respective states, right?
Right.
So from the central, whatever is the participation or whomsoever has to participate from the central government, we have done it.
How many states have set up this committee, Mr. Ghosh?
How many states have set up this committee? The presently BJP ruled state are the highest number of states who has set up this committee.
How many? Could you give us a number?
I have to go through. No, you have got the number. You have got the number. I don't have numbers with me. I can't say the numbers. But I can say
as
that.
per my information, the committee actually set up by the
BJP ruled
all
state
states.
has set up the committee.
Right, Ashif. Go on.
So committee set up by the all states in India, because that was the provision of the law, and the law passed by the the parliament in year 2013. So it's not the eradication of manual scavenging practice or rehabilitation is not only connected with the constitution of the committee. It's lots of different things also need to do to implement the law. Committee is a one thing, but in many states, if you check like the Madhya Pradesh or many other states, committee meeting was not happened in last 1 year or 2 years.
Right, and Yogendra Yadav, if I'm not mistaken, there was a 2019 deadline that India had to meet to eradicate manual scavenging.
Yes, that's a deadline given by this government. Actually, there was no need for a deadline. 2013 Act was already a deadline, should have been implemented then. And the fact is that we are nowhere close to meeting this deadline. We can keep playing this game. Central government did that, state government did not do that. But last I remember, BJP used to claim that they control so many state governments. And last I knew, BJP used to say, because we have a central government and state government, we would be able to do this, that and the other. So you have so many state governments. Tell me what has happened there. I really do not think this needs to be politicized in this narrow sense. The simple fact, the simple harsh fact is that the entire political establishment of this country has been pretty indifferent on this question. The issue of manual scavenging has been around being discussed in the Supreme Court, in some of the highest corridors for the last 15-20 years. These situations have been known. 2011 census showed us that around 7 lakh persons were involved in manual scavenging. And if there was any political will to identify and do something about it, it should have happened. It must be said to the credit of UPA that they at least started a scheme, that they at least passed a law. But what needed to be done thereafter as a follow-up has simply not happened. This is a fact. You cannot deny this.
Precisely. And in fact, I'm running out of time over here, but this is something that I would want to say, that this is not a topic that you often see on prime time on a national channel. But we picked this purposely. Spare a thought to all of those people who work day and night to keep our surroundings neat and clean. Spare a thought to those who put their lives to risk by getting down that gutter without protection to ensure that they clear all that you and I have dumped into that sewer. Why can't the government provide them with a dignified life? The right to life with dignity is envisaged in our Indian Constitution. Hope the government takes note of their plight and does something urgently. This is the need of the hour. And from all of us, I would only like to say to both Joginder and to Pramod, who joined us today. Pramod ji, Joginder ji, आप जो काम कर रहे हैं उसके लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया और हम सब के तरफ से मैं माफ़ी मांगना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि आपका हक हम लोग आपको दिला नहीं पाए। उम्मीद करेंगे कि ये सरकार, जो भी सरकार, ये सरकार या जो भी सरकार आएगी, आपका हक ज़रूर दिलाएगी। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।